Be good.
There is Wi-Fi.
There is Wi-Fi.
There
Okay.
is Wi-Fi, so hopefully we'll stay connected if you want to try.
Okay.
it.
Let's.
You get
An extra one might be handy just in case.
You never, yeah. Allison needs light.
Yeah, that's true.
There's one. They're probably.
I
not
might
the
break myself
best,
again.
but-
That's fine.
Do we want to say hi to everyone, our viewers?
Oh, I'm in it? Sorry.
Oh.
Hi.
Hey, you want?
I'm really sorry for being in it.
No, don't be sorry.
No,
Like-
I don't want to be in it.
Okay.
I definitely have a place behind the camera. Am I doing things?
Yeah.
We're still actually live. We are live.
We are live.
All right, I'm going to be in it for just a second. I'm really sorry for that, everybody. Really sorry. All right, say important things. Somebody.
Hi. Hey, this is Allison. And
This is Greg.
This guy.
The Newkirks.
Hey, and Dana. And we're here at Bobby Mackey's with Angie.
Hey guys.
Yay.
Get ready for your close-up.
And we're about to take the tour. So I hope y'all are watching. And maybe if you have some questions, you can put them down in the feed. And then we'll ask Angie.
There we go.
Perfect.
Like a
Ooh,
plan.
this sounds like segment. Ask Angie.
Many
Ask Angie.
ghosts tonight.
Sounds
Right.
Sounds like a good segment. I gotta write a blog now.
There you go.
Absolutely. And then we could download the video and put embedded video at the
There we
end of the
go.
page, like Greg taught me.
Thanks, Mike.
Good for SEO.
Nick's
Mike.
here. Nick's here. Mike is here. Nick is here.
And how about Dan? Dan was there.
Dan.
Nick,
All right.
Dan.
All right, I'm gonna go live too.
Oh, 2 angles.
All right.
And members.
Double live Gonzo.
Yay!
I think that's taken already, though, isn't it?
There
No,
we go.
he's dead. So we can be Gonzo ghost
How do you do
journalists.
the light too?
You just turn it on.
What? I didn't realize you could do a light on these things now too. While
What?
you're
Wait,
shooting.
wait, we have a light on there?
Use an iPhone?
Yeah, I have an iPhone.
I don't know
It's
how
a-
you.
There's
It's
a
the
little,
7
there's
Plus.
a little button, and you just.
What?
It's a
Right,
button.
just
It says
Here.
light.
My mind's blown.
Here,
He's the
so
techie of the group,
is
right?
it this
I
thing?
didn't think so, but apparently.
Is it this thing?
I love it. You guys are so funny.
No, I don't.
No,
I
I
think
think
it's-
a flashlight.
It's the one on
Greg just
Facebook,
realized
right?
you can turn your light on your phone.
I had no idea. This would have made
How-
all of the previous live streams so much
How do you do
easier.
that? Oh, that.
All right. You guys want to do lights out?
Sure.
Yes.
lights
All
out.
right.
Flashlights on.
Flashlight's on. I got my brace on.
I'm gonna
All
give you guys
good.
a little extra
Ankle
light.
brace.
Ooh.
All right. And then let's turn this light out up this way.
Oh, did you want to hand the camera?
You want me to man the camera?
Yeah.
That was my finger.
All right. That's a little better.
We're just gonna take you guys on the whole tour, so probably won't say very much.
So, do you guys want a little bit of history, I guess? with
Yes.
that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
We love history.
So I'll tell you a little bit about, of course, what you see in the shows on TV, and then I'll kind of tell you some of the truth. But not saying that the shows are not truthful. Of course, as you guys probably know, they have to exaggerate a lot of that stuff. They have to embellish it for the ratings and all of that good stuff. So, but most usually the evidence and the stories that they tell in these shows are pretty much factual. But a couple of details are left out. So, in addition to this place being a slaughterhouse back in the 1800s, I don't know if you guys knew, this area was also, during the early 1900s, during Prohibition, was actually at one point, and it was a dinner club. It was originally called the Primrose. And Buck Brady, a guy named Buck Brady or E.A. Brady, Red Masterson, their head guy, heard about this area, wanted a piece of the action, came on down to Newport, Kentucky, and eventually Buck Brady went ahead and gave up the club, and Red Masterson took it over. When he took it over, he then named his club the Latin Quarter. And if you look here on the floor, you'll see an LQ. So this is still part of the original flooring from the Latin Quarter. So Bobby tries to keep a lot of the fixtures, a lot of the decor the same. Not a lot of it has changed over the years, so you can tell it's quite outdated. So, but it kind of goes along with the nostalgia of the place. It's just kind of, it's his history, and he doesn't want to change any of that.
Sure.
So, but now with the paranormal aspects of the claims, a lot of it again, stems from the slaughterhouse, but a lot of people, again, they don't realize the organized crime part of it, and I think a lot of that paranormal activity comes from those days. We've had a couple of individuals over the years that claim to be psychic, have some ability to mediumship, maybe, if you want to call it. But these two individuals come up with the same conclusion, that there is a portal in the club located right here in this area where we're standing. So with that being said, I think that also allows many different entities, many different spirits to come and go and visit this area, and we get quite a bit. So Denise, Bobby's wife, most recently in recent area, and she describes him as being very tall, extremely thin, and when I mean tall, sometimes where his head actually will disappear into the ceiling. And she also describes him as not really having detail of the face and the head. It's kind of like just a black blob. And she also described him wearing a mustardy yellow type suit. And when he appears here, he just kind of makes his way down towards the end of the bar and just kind of disappears. Doesn't really make contact with her, doesn't acknowledge her, doesn't interact, but she gets a really nasty vibe from this guy, like he was just not a nice person. So she saw him for about a year before other people actually started to encounter him. And so most recently there have been others that have seen this tall gentleman in other areas of the bar, particularly by the stage. Quite often he is seen. Yeah, I know. Right?
It's the feng shui of Hellmouth, you know.
We also get a lot of male voices. You can hear the tone, and they sound very authoritative. It sounds, very.
Attributed all to ghostly activity.
That's right. That's right.
The internet is really actually excellent. It's the ghostly activity that's messing it up.
That's right. Yep. So up here, obviously, this is the monster room. This is just a little area where they have, little private parties and such. But this is also the area where Carl, the maintenance guy who passed away a few years back, actually had an exorcism performed on him here in the building. Right, and this is the room that he supposedly had that. If you've never seen the video, no, I mean, this thing has been spotted walking along the edge here. We've actually have a picture of this, and you can see this on our Facebook page and YouTube channel. But one of our tour groups actually caught a picture of this thing, and it was over here in the corner. You can see the hunch of the back, the tail, the eyes are actually glowing, but you can see right through this thing. So, and you can actually feel throughout the building what feels like a cat just kind of rubbing between your legs, how a cat would do. So,
And
pretty
can
cool.
I ask a little bit more about the exorcism?
Yeah, sure.
So, it wasn't a Catholic church.
Enough for the cats.
We're all cats, especially ghost cats, right?
You know what else starts with the word cat? Catholic. Yes.
Yes. Very good segue there.
Yeah.
So, it was probably like a Protestant minister, or?
I'm not sure. I'm
Okay.
going to be honest with you. I'm not sure what.
My question would be about other signs of possession. There's certain signs in the Catholic Church, like prescience, like knowing things you couldn't have known.
Correct. Right.
Or speaking in other languages. Do you know if Carl exhibited anything like that didn't seem like something a person would be able to do?
As far as the speaking in tongue, other languages, I don't think that he ever did anything like that. If so, Bobby never really mentioned. But he did Carl claimed to know things that other people obviously did not know. And Carl is actually the one who discovered the well in the basement.
Oh, wow.
Carl claims that he actually had a dream. Someone came to him and told him that he needed to go to the basement and dig. And he just went to the basement, he started digging, and that's when he found the well.
Wow.
So Carl was the one who found the journal of Johanna, also the writings on the wall, on the catwalk. Carl found those as well, and he just said he had that intuition, that premonition of where to go to look for that. But as far as knowing things about the living, Bobby never really said that, you know, Carl would say a whole lot of, you know, of details like that. Bobby really wasn't very talkative about it. It's still
Yeah.
very sensitive
Sure.
for
Yeah, I can
him.
imagine.
He still is a very big skeptic, Bobby is. Even though a lot of this is going on around him, he claims that he has not experienced anything, he's never seen, heard anything. And he sees all of these people, you know, his friends, his family, his loved ones that are having these experiences, and it's hard for him to process it sometimes, I think.
Yeah.
And you know, and to I think he doesn't want to really insult anyone, but so he really doesn't comment a whole
Sure.
lot on it.
Sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, but his interview that we did with him, and again, that's on YouTube, is very interesting. He gives a whole plethora of detailed information on Carl and some of the experiences that Bobby encountered with Carl, and what prompted him to say to Carl, look, you've got to get some help, because there's, you know, questions on whether there was mental illness involved.
Sure.
And there's a fine line, to me, in my opinion, between mental illness and possession. I think it kind of goes hand in hand. Mental illness is present. Again, I think that leaves your soul is suppressed, and it's going to allow things to attach itself to you. So I think
Yeah, and that's why the Catholic Church actually
Right.
uses psychiatrists to
Right.
help them make
Sure.
their decisions as to, you know, who they will exercise.
Right. And I don't think Carl really had any type of a psychological or mental evaluation.
Sure.
I think it was just, again, you know, something that was discussed amongst friends.
So after he had the exorcism, did he feel better?
He did for quite a while, and then from what I'm also told by Bobby, that he actually had to have a second exorcism. Not sure the time period after that, but he did eventually have to have a second one, which was done at a separate location.
Okay.
Linen and fine china and crystal stemware, and, you know, just very upscale, you know, entertainment. From what I understand, Nat King Cole actually performed here
Wow.
some time ago. Yeah. So in this area, of course, you know, of Newport, again, had quite a few of the, you know, the more famous entertainers, Rat Pack, Marilyn Monroe. You know, those people, they visited Newport quite often. So. And of course, they would have the burlesque shows here, the showgirls, kind of very similar to what you see at Las Vegas, you know, today. Which, from reading some of the history, Las Vegas was founded based on Newport. Again, you know, back then, Newport was really big into the casinos and the showgirls and the burlesque shows and all of that. And when Prohibition came about, and a lot of the you know, the alcohol being illegal, people lost their jobs. So a lot of them packed up and they moved out west, and they settled in Las Vegas. So, and that's kind of how Las Vegas was founded. Now, in this area right here, we get a lot of shadows through here. You'll actually see shadows all through the building, and they're upstairs especially. They're very elusive, so you'll see them a lot in your peripheral vision, kind of dart off to the side, and of course you're always questioning yourself, did you really see that? But we see that more so a lot with these doors here that go backstage. Again, the very tall male entity that I was telling you about earlier, he's seen quite often going into this door. He is actually, Laura in our group, she has encountered him right here standing in front of these two guitars. And as soon as she turned and she saw him, he just kind of again floated and disappeared there into the doorway there. But again, shadows all through here. Here lately, we've been getting what sounds like kids or a little girl, very high-pitched squeal, giggling sound. And we hear it quite often right around in here. Almost like they're, you know, playing, you know, hide and seek and tag and whatnot. We had someone who was here kind of interacting and trying to play hide and seek and try to get this thing to interact more. And the more that she was engaging, the more that we would hear these giggles and laughter, and again, it just sounded like a little kid's voice. So we get that quite often through here. Now you guys have probably heard the story of Johanna. Johanna was the young lady who supposedly was a showgirl here. The stories are that her father managed the club, and she became involved with a young man, a waiter by the name of Robert Randall, which, by the way, is Bobby's birth name, Robert Randall.
Oh, that's wild.
Yeah. But we've not really been able to find substantial evidence or proof to back this up. We do have a death certificate of her, but so supposedly she became involved with this young man. They were not married, became pregnant, and her father found out about this pregnancy, about the relationship, and actually had the young man murdered. When she found out that her father had done this, of course she was very distraught, and so she actually tried to kill her father by poisoning and also killed herself. She committed suicide by poisoning. Now we do have that death certificate. However, with the death certificate, the timeline doesn't match very well. If I'm not mistaken, the timeline on the death certificate says 1914, which is way much earlier than what Johanna supposedly was working here as a showgirl. So, but we do have her first name as Johanna, and the death certificate does state manner of death was suicide by poisoning.
Wow.
Also done some research on Ancestry.com, and come to find out the young lady whose name is on this death certificate was actually married with a 2-year-old child, and her husband was a firefighter, if I'm not mistaken, with the Cincinnati Fire Department. So what she was doing over here, maybe she was moonlighting, doing some extracurricular activities there on the side, but so there's some truth to it, but again, the timeline doesn't match, so it looks like some details maybe through the years have kind of gotten lost or...
Telephone,
Yeah. Also through here, while we're sitting here at the tables and we're doing EVP sessions and we're really just not paying attention, just kind of, general conversation, you'll actually start to feel the floor shake. It'll vibrate like something is walking past you. You can feel the floorboards move. We've done some research, we've done some debunking. It's not the train passing, it isn't passing vehicles. People have even said, could it be a barge on the river? And also this property is known to be on a fault line. Mm-hmm. So there's even the question, could we be feeling, seismic activity? Very possible, but it's very odd. It doesn't do it all the time, but as you're just sitting here, you can start to feel the floor move like someone's walking past you. And occasionally you will hear the floorboards creak at the same time. So it's can be a little unsettling sometimes to feel that. But very cool though at the same time.
I remember when we were here with the Nick Groff tour, I was mentioning to them we did an EVP session. We were all sitting over there.
Yeah.
And Nick asked Johanna, do you like the music? Do you like it when there's music in here? And clear as a bell on the repeat, like when we played it back, you can hear a woman say, I like it when the band plays.
Yes, I remember
it was
that.
So clear. I think all of us were just like, our
Everyone
jaws dropped.
He got the best EVPs that night. He has got a true gift, because I'm telling you, he can be here for 5 minutes and he's got all these EVPs, and we're here for hours. And it's taken us forever to get somebody to say hello. But Nick, he's got a gift. I think he's very, very fortunate. But yes, I remember that he got some really good stuff that night. Let's see, what else? Any paranormal claims? Again, just the shadows. One particular night, I was here with a tour group. A couple from Tennessee, they come up all the time. And they did a 2-hour tour with me, and nothing was going on. I mean, it was so quiet here. I mean, not even a noise. You didn't even hear a mouse running around. But so they left, and as soon as I locked the door, went back to the gift shop to start locking up, get paperwork taken care of and everything. All of a sudden, all the doors and all of the windows started to violently shake. It was like someone was literally at all of the windows and doors, you know, shaking them. You could actually feel it in the floor. You could feel the vibrations of the, you know, everything moving in the floor. And so my first thought was that they came back, you know, they're knocking on the door trying to get in for whatever reason, and I go to the front door, they're gone. They're nowhere in sight. So I'm thinking, okay, well, you know, let's go check out the cameras. So I went back to the camera closet, the security closet, kind of rolled back the tape. Didn't see anybody around the building or anything like that. And a few minutes later, I go back into the gift shop, and again, just as I'm getting ready to turn out the lights, I hear bottles out here at the bar start, like, not just clinking. It almost sounded like one was actually thrown into a garbage can and shatter. You could hear the shattering of it. So of course I'm out here again, hello, you know, thinking somebody's walked in. Again, I go to the front door's locked, nobody's around, and I go back to the bar and I'm looking around for this bottle that possibly broke. And all the garbage has already been emptied. There's nothing up there, you know, that would indicate a bottle had broken. So, and it was very loud. It was literally like someone had just picked it up and threw it into a bottle, you know, a trash can full of bottles. So that's probably one of the other most significant things that happened to me. It's just kind of hard to explain, but it was very, very, very loud. Let's see, what else? Again, back here in the backstage, unfortunately, I'm not allowed to take anyone back. It is off limits. Bobby's very protective of his equipment and instruments.
Yeah, that's understandable.
But we do get a lot of activity back there. Again, we hear voices coming from back there, and occasionally we do hear music, what sounds like very light, faint music. And again, done some debunking, some research. We've driven by playing our car stereos and things like that to try to recreate it. And it just isn't the same. It just doesn't sound the same. We get noises of what sounds like someone's back there just kind of walking around, moving things, you know, heavy footsteps. It gets pretty active back there, actually. And again, the shadows, it's really fascinating to watch the shadows that will walk in and out of there. Pretty cool stuff. Let's go around here. All right, we'll go back to the ballroom.
I love how nonchalant you are about
Yeah.
it. That's pretty much all that's going on in here.
Yeah.
Let's go to the spot where there's even more weird stuff going on.
Let's go to the Hellmouth and see what's going on there tonight. It's kind of a hot spot.
This is run of the mill for you by now.
So yeah, this is Nick was back here. This is where he got a lot of you know, the EVPs.
Yeah.
I think we were literally
right
sitting
here.
right here.
Yeah. Now this corner back here is actually probably one of my favorite, and I refer to this as the creepy corner, only because I have a lot of personal experiences back there, and I don't know what it is. We haven't been able to find any kind of stories to, you know, to kind of back it up that anything significant that maybe had happened in this area. But they like to come back here. So watch your step right here. This is the bull, by the way.
Any ghosts like to ride the bull?
They love Red Bull. Let me tell you, I have not seen this thing turn on yet. If this bull were to ever start,
Oh my god, yeah. I mean, you know what? Think about it too. Like, there's so much energy that's like put into this
Yes.
thing, right? So many people every
Yeah.
single night are like putting out all this crazy energy that like this would be like almost like a buffet of energy for like whatever's here.
you would think, seriously, if this thing were to ever start up on its own, I would probably have to change my clothing because
Agreed. That's like the limit for you.
it would be, you know what, nothing would top that. I think that would be the most fascinating thing that would ever happen here. So,
All right, well, the challenge.
There you
The
go.
challenge has been
There you go,
forward.
spirits. You know what you gotta do. The gauntlet has been thrown down.
That's right.
Right? Yeah. So yeah, this is the creepy corner. Now again, Laura, and again, her being the skeptic of our group, she's so fortunate. And then against the pool table, kind of looking down a little bit, and she described him as having like dark colored pants on and a red t-shirt. She could tell his t-shirt was, you know, it was a t-shirt, short sleeve, and kind of long brown hair. And so her first thought was to look to see where her, you know, the two guys that were on her tour, she noticed they were over there in the room where Carl had his exorcism, looked back over here, and the sky's gone. And she swears that it was here, but yet, again, the skeptic in her is telling her, nah, maybe you really didn't see it. But there's been quite a few people, that are really starting to see these male figures, around here. So now I did have a Catholic priest who did a tour with me a couple of years ago. First time I'd ever had a priest, and I'm not Catholic, so I always thought priests were not really permitted to participate.
I was going to say not cool, but
Actually,
not much fun.
Father Mike is
Was he awesome?
He is a very cool guy. He's actually had a lot to do with the paranormal through the years, for 25, 30 years. He's done, a lot of his own radio shows.
Wow.
He's had a lot of videos and things like that out there, published some books and stuff like that. So, very
that's really
cool guy.
cool.
He was also the chaplain of Children's Hospital
Wow.
for 23 years, I think. 23,
joke.
20-something years.
So local guy.
Yes, very local. So he came here. He was, we're walking around. We're, kind of doing some EVP sessions. And now these lights here, in order for me to turn these lights on, I actually have to go to a breaker box and flip the switch.
Wow.
Can't just flip them on the wall. So as we're standing here talking, he's actually looking in this direction, and I'm looking in this direction. And again, we're kind of doing some EVP sessions, and this light right here starts to flicker. Maybe 5-6 seconds, nothing too long, but very significant in the fact that the electric to this light was turned off at the breaker box.
Wow.
So it's flickering, and so Father Mike, of course, he stops dead in his tracks and he's like, whoa, are we really just, seeing this? And I'm like, yeah, Father Mike. And that's the first time I'd ever, ever had this happen. It's never happened since. So it did that for 5-6 seconds, and it stopped. And then the light that you see on above the stage, that stays on all the time. I don't even know how to turn this light off. That light, as soon as that one stops flickering, that one turns off and never came back on the rest of the night. So, and that's just one of the many things that kind of happened while he was here. He, he had a lot of personal experiences himself, feelings of being touched, and not so nice things happening, to him. He, feeling scratches and things like that.
Think maybe because he was a priest?
What's that?
You think it was maybe had something to do with the fact that he was a priest?
I think so.
Yeah.
Because some of the things that happened while he was here, I have never seen happen to anybody. Or it has never happened since. So yeah, I think a lot of it is that.
Wow.
I really do.
Now, did he have any insight into the exorcism story that you were telling us?
He does not. Yeah, he wasn't. I mean, he knew of the story, but
Right.
he did not.
Didn't
know.
have any reaction
Yeah,
or anything. to
yeah.
it.
He apparently has performed some himself over the years, without the Vatican's permission, from what I understand. So this was,
Uh-oh.
yes. So this is kind of things that's on the.
You're
down
hearing
low.
that live.
Father Mike, rogue exorcist.
Right.
I'd watch that show.
I would watch that show too.
Wait a second. I think there is a show. It's called The Exorcist.
Right. If it's got a little girl Reagan and all of that stuff in it.
Right.
Well, last season.
No.
Yeah, right.
No more free advertising. We're done with that.
Right. But no, he was a very cool guy. But yeah, he's kind of dabbled into this. So I was
Wow.
very, very surprised. It really surprised me. But he's very cool though. So also in this particular corner, I get a lot of knocking noises. Now it's not just your random knocking noise here and there. These are knocking noises that are repetitive and are in a pattern. And it's kind of like almost something's trying to get your attention, trying to communicate in some way. So I had a police officer here from St. Louis, of course, very skeptic at first, right? He's always, on high alert that I'm trying to fake stuff, and he's got his big mag light, and he's watching me. And so as we're standing here and we're trying to do EVP sessions, we start hearing this knocking noise on this pool table. And it started out with 3. And it paused about 2 seconds, and I'm standing over here, and again the whole time this guy's watching me with his flashlight, and he's like, "How are you doing that?" And I'm like, I promise you, I'm not doing this. You see me standing here." And so he got to talking. He got to kind of loosened up a little bit. Was doing some EVP sessions, and again it would start doing these knocks on command for this guy. And then, you know, through the night, as his tour went on, he was starting to get some really weird things happen to him as well. And I think it was because it was a police officer.
Oh, yeah.
I really think
Sure.
he was feeling some not so good vibes.
How about teachers? Are they okay with teachers?
Yeah. Well, you know, I don't know. I don't think I've encountered any.
Maybe they
teacher
had some
here, so-
childhood trauma that picks up the activity because, you know,
It's a
teachers-
bar. Teachers don't go to the bar.
Yeah.
We all know that.
I don't know. That's pretty cool.
Appears the driven snow.
Yeah. But again, just these little things like that happen down here. Also, you know, there's been claims of seeing a little black figure that kind of hangs out in the corner and just kind of, you know, hanging underneath the table, and just I've yet to see anything like that. But supposedly this little figure is kind of like a crouching figure, almost like gargoyle-like, and is very interactive. It, you know, kind of peeks around, you know, around the table and stuff like that. But I haven't experienced anything like that. But I can get a lot of footsteps back here. Using REM pods and, you know, that type of equipment, you know, these things will go off at, you know, same time that we're hearing footsteps and, you know, the periscopes and all of that stuff. So it gets pretty interesting back in here.
That's cool when you can validate evidence
Yes.
with multiple different sources.
Exactly. Yeah, you've got a personal experience at the same time. You're hearing, you know, these things going on, and then you've got the equipment that you know is reacting to that environment. So yeah, it's pretty
That's
cool.
awesome.
Yeah. So that's that little corner area. Did you guys know Bobby had George Jones here in the 80s?
No, that's awesome.
George Jones.
The
yeah,
possum?
Back in the 1980s, George Jones performed in concert here.
That's an awesome shirt.
That is awesome.
You gotta do some like reprints of these things.
Right.
Right?
Wouldn't that be cool?
Sell them on
That
the
would be
website.
awesome. I would totally buy one.
Yeah.
Yeah, the New Orleans one too. That's amazing.
That is pretty cool. Yeah, that's a great idea. I'm sure he's probably thought of that along the way. But yeah, he had George Jones here performed in concert. He's Waylon Jennings. He's, you know, been able to perform with Waylon Jennings and Merle Haggard. So he's had quite a bit of experiences with the entertainment world. Now this area right here, the same night with the police officer, as a matter of fact, as we were making our way around here, I was standing right about where you're standing.
Oh.
Right? Now this
And
is
the portal
where-
opened and you fell
and
right
the port,
there.
that's right, not through, yeah, it fell through. No, this is where I had my first encounter of something being thrown at me. I actually heard something hit the wall right here, and it bounced. You could hear it hit, bounce off, and it hit the floor right behind me. And I thought it was the police officer who was one or two steps behind me. And he said he didn't do it, but when we looked down on the ground, there was a little blue cube of pool chalk that was lying on the floor. Now, again, I don't know if it was there prior to. It could have been, and you know, I just didn't see it. But something was definitely thrown in our direction and came very close to hitting me.
I'd take one for the team. I'm just
Right,
saying.
I would too.
I mean, if you
Absolutely.
think about it, if it did come from the
In the
pool
interest of
tables,
science.
that's a pretty decent
Yes,
distance
exactly.
for it to have
Yeah,
moved.
yeah. I mean, yeah, no pool table in this area whatsoever. So yeah, very neat. So yeah, that was my first encounter with having something thrown at me. All right, so let's go around this way. Now, also, I don't think a lot of people knew that prior to Bobby purchasing the building, this actually used to be another bar. It was called. That was the ice.
Oh.
It was the ice machine.
Great.
Don't get your hopes up.
The ghosts are thirsty. They need some ice for their drinks.
Somebody left some like diarrhea medication.
Yeah.
out
Yeah.
there, So might just take that on the way out.
Yeah.
Well, you got to rehydrate after all you.
Exactly, right. But yeah, before Bobby bought the building, this was a bar called the Hard Rock Cafe. No affiliation with the current franchise. But it had a nickname of the Bloody Bucket, only because it was so violent. There were so many fights and physical altercations here. And what finally got this place to close was there were two men who were actually murdered right in this area where we were standing. From what I understand, this used to be the men's restroom right here. These two men were stabbed to death in this area. So this would have been probably, and I may be wrong on my timeline, maybe the 50s, 60s, somewhere in that area. We've found a couple of newspaper articles to kind of back it up a little bit. There was mention of some violent altercations, but we really couldn't find anything specifically related to a death. But that's the stories that there were 2 men here that were stabbed to death. So right in here, let's go in and check out the ghost that cuts the ice.
Graham's nemesis now.
Yeah, right.
This is Bobby's green room. So this is where he comes, obviously, with
not green.
friends, family, guests. He'll come in, hang out in here. As you can see, he's got a lot of pictures. George Jones, Merle Haggard, all those guys. But again, he doesn't really claim to have any experiences, so nothing really is going to stand out to him in here. But we do have people that indicate that they see shadows that come in and out of here. What's really cool is behind you is a very large safe.
Oh yeah.
This safe, when Bobby purchased this building, he was obviously doing some renovation in this room, lots of stuff in here, and he came across this safe. If you look on the side of it, it says built specially for E.A. Brady, or Buck Brady. Again, Buck Brady was the original owner of the Primrose. So he finds this thing, right, and they hire a locksmith to crack it open, and of course it was empty.
Oh.
Geraldo was inside, huh?
Yes, Geraldo was inside. That's too funny. But if you want, go ahead and try to open it, just to kind of get an idea of how heavy this thing is.
Did you work out this morning?
Crazy,
Holy
insane
cow.
how heavy this thing is. I think it's going to survive
Go
a nuclear
for it,
war.
Allison.
All right.
Oh, you're not going to? Yeah, go ahead and.
The other side opens?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Really?
Oh, and it comes back
Yeah,
on you,
no
so.
joke, right?
Wow.
That's
But how
kind
neat
of
is
pretty
this thing?
inside.
I mean, it's
Look at all
so
the
beautiful.
mechanism and everything.
Yeah. I don't know if he knows the combination or how to open it, but.
Wow.
Yeah,
Very
so don't
neat
lock
puzzle.
it, because it
Yeah.
might never open again.
Exactly. Right.
So basically,
You'll be
the
paying for the
containment
locksmith.
unit in Ghostbusters.
It does look like the containment unit from Ghostbusters.
Oh, yes. Yes. Let's go get our proton packs.
Yeah,
right? Let's
exactly.
let's go capture.
That explains why the portal's here.
Right.
Who opened it?
But yeah, it's just kind of a cool antique part of history here. The building. I think they must have actually built this room around it. I don't see them actually
Yeah,
getting
no
into this
joke.
doorway. But this used to be the cashier's box during the casino days,
Oh,
which is why you see the
right
little
there.
window here.
Okay.
There were some of the older folks through the years that used to come in and hang out at the bar here with Bobby. Told them stories that behind these curtains there's a platform up here, where of course they're just used for storage, but
Right.
apparently there was a platform that actually had armed guards that were here that would guard the cashier's window.
Wow.
So yeah.
Wow.
But yeah, Bobby
we get
doesn't
this side of
he
that?
doesn't claim to see a whole lot here. Of course, he's not really
Oh,
into that.
am I in your
sorry.
shot?
No,
You
no,
went
you
in.
go ahead.
No, don't shoot
I'm gonna
me.
film you.
Stop
Hang
it.
your eye.
Oh.
He likes to stay incognito.
Yeah.
This is
We're
very.
pulling his cover.
But now I have your shot.
Oh. It's like a perpetual
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
shot.
So that's.
Yeah, here's the crew.
Yeah.
All right.
There's the cast.
Yes. The talent.
The talent. I don't know about that. I think I've got the talent God gave us you.
Sorry.
Oh no, you're fine. Honey.
Sorry.
All right.
Had to try to get that T-shirt off the wall.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm obsessed
Greg,
with
your
t-shirts.
shirt is
They just
very
look great.
squaring. They are. Those would be. I would love one of those.
You gotta talk them into it.
Yeah.
You know what?
You're talking
I'm
Like
gonna-
vintage Bobby Mackey
I am going to
shirts.
send
Yeah.
them an email. That would be very cool if they did a release of that. That would be
Wouldn't that?
awesome. Yeah, it would be.
Limited edition.
Yes.
There
Yeah.
you go.
So you guys want to make your way up to Carl's apartment?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
I've never been up there.
No.
Okay, this is
it's
a
gonna
special
be quite
thing then.
warm. I'm just going to warn you, it's going to be very warm up there.
Introduce it, House.
And I'm just more like so.
Go.
Well, we're going up to Carl's apartment. He was an employee here that actually submitted to 2 exorcisms.
All right, so we're going to go
And-
behind the secret door.
was quite
Now, this used
taken
to be
over,
right
perhaps,
here,
by the spirits of the
from
building.
what we hear, there used to be a doorman that was posted here. The Carl's apartment during the casino days was actually the VIP area.
Oh,
So all the big
cool.
guys were up there, right? So they had a doorman posted here. And what's pretty cool is right underneath this ledge over here, there is a doorbell. So the doorman... scared away. So yeah, there's a little shrine here. Everybody brings cigarettes for Carl. And
An old age track?
Darkness on the edge of town.
oh wow. That's a new one. I haven't seen that out.
Yeah.
That somebody just got that one out.
And what do you call those again? I forget.
8-track.
It's an old 8-track cassette.
They used to be able to
Were you being
record
serious?
audio
Yeah,
on there.
it's an 8-track
Are you
cassette.
serious about not knowing what that was
Oh,
called?
well, I just couldn't think of
Oh.
the name of
Well,
it.
she knows
But,
it.
but I reached out and
I
touched it.
know what I mean. What I
It's
mean is
significant.
like,
I know what I.
you're
I
so
just,
young, Allison.
Yeah.
You kids.
I know,
these days.
kids
They just
these
don't understand what
days.
music used to be like. I'm
Right.
sure it's all MP3s and iPods to you.
I know, it really is. What is that strange thing?
I still have an 8-track player, believe it or not. It's in my garage.
Oh,
so,
that's awesome.
Yeah. But so yeah, this is where Carl spent many years. As you can tell, it's not in livable condition. It hasn't been for quite some time. But this is where he had his days and nights of torment. Is how I kind of like to describe it. Quite often he would say that he would tell Bobby and everybody that he would lie here at night and couldn't sleep because there was always something bothering him, biting him, scratching him, doing something, anything they could to prevent him from sleeping. So, days without sleep deprivation starts to really wear on.
So the oppression before the
Yes,
possession.
Exactly, right. And on the door, actually, if you look, it says go away. Carl actually taped that up there. So
Oh, wow.
he claimed that he was visited every night by a female who would also, again, I call it torment him in hopes that it would scare whatever is away. So finally, after him having, all these experiences, Bobby came to the bar one night and found Carl downstairs in the ballroom, wrapped in a tarp of some sort, completely nude, and had really no idea where he was at, how he got there, what had occurred. Really couldn't give him any details. Now, it is also possible Carl was a known alcoholic for many years. I think a lot of this, his experiences kind of accentuated that. He led him to, and he was an alcoholic for many years. And I think after that night, when Bobby finally was like, Carl, we really got to get you some help. This is not good for you. You've got to get out. And I think, it wasn't very long after that Carl went ahead and moved out. And then soon his life started to improve. Started going to, I'm assuming, to AA meetings, became sober, wasn't drinking. He was estranged from his family, from what I understand, for many years. He was still separated from them, but, getting his life together. And then something happened where he relapsed and he started drinking, and not long after that is when he passed away. So he had many years of rough life. So, now Janet, also up here, there's a sink that's back here behind this counter. There's also a story of Janet experiencing something with this sink. As she's cleaning this apartment and she has her hands in the sink, she claimed that something grabbed her hands and also grabbed the back of her neck and was trying to force her into the water.
Oh my God.
And the water, she claims, turned to blood.
Oh.
So again, her and Carl had very similar, experiences. This little bathroom area right here, do you know why we got it closed?
We've got 20% battery left, guys.
Uh-oh.
In case we
we've got the basement to go to. You're welcome to go looking in there, and I'll get out of your way here.
A peek in?
This is the bathroom where Carl says that he was taking a bath one night and he felt two hands grab his shoulders and tried to force him under the water. And he struggled for a couple of seconds to keep his head above water and get air. You know, and I don't doubt that that happened, but it, you know, some part of me just kind of wonders if maybe he may have been intoxicated that night
Yeah.
and just kind of, you know, fell asleep, passed out, and slipped into the water. But
The throne actually has a step up.
Yeah.
What time period were these from?
Let's see, these here I believe were from the late 40s.
This is like paranormal American Pickers.
Right?
It's crazy.
Wait till you see the basement. Oh,
It's just
yeah.
crazy.
Wait till
There's
you
just
see
so
the
much cool
basement.
stuff.
Well, here's what I'll do, guys. I'm gonna turn off the live and I'm gonna save the 20% that I do have for the basement. So we'll see you guys in a couple of minutes.
All right. So this right here, now also after I believe it was before or after the Hard Rock Cafe opened, this was actually temporarily like a senior citizens community center.
Is that
type
what all
thing.
the bingos?
So you're gonna see all the
I
bingo
was looking at
cards.
those.
Bobby Mackey's getting the ghost tour.
It was actually bowling
Grady
alley
and
too at one
Newkirk.
point.
Really?
And that's Angie giving the
So
tour.
you can kind of
Hi,
feel
guys.
like the floor
Hey,
downstairs is slanted a little bit,
Oh.
which is
That's-
yeah.
No
It's
kidding.
kind of done
Wow.
purposefully. Yeah, so that's what you see some of the bowling
Oh,
trophies
yeah,
and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's too cool.
Yeah, these bingo cards.
I've never seen bingo cards like that.
I know.
That's why I was like looking at it because they're
Yeah, the bingo cards, those old timey ones. My grandma had some of those.
yeah, because you slide the numbers. It's neat.
I think we kind of dated them. I thought we looked and they were like back in the 50s
That's really
or
cool.
something.
Oh,
like
yeah.
that.
Really cool.
Yeah. Every now and then people will come across these things in like flea markets. Some people will kind of see.
And there's the ball roller right there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then here you would mark what numbers were called, I assume?
Well, actually, this wasn't the actual bingo board. From what I was told, you would basically buy a number. So I would pay $2 and buy number 39. Well, this opens. So they would have a prize posted back here. So if your number was picked, they would open that door, and whatever prize was behind that door, you would win that prize. So
Oh, that's
Okay,
fun.
that's cool.
Yeah.
Well, this is like perfect horror movie
Yeah,
fodder,
right.
you know?
There's gotta be a horrible face behind one of them.
45!
Yeah.
Somebody's
Yeah.
here!
I
For
really
the
did
last hour, you've been seeing the number 52 pop up
It's here
over
behind
and
number
over and over, and then
64.
suddenly you go to number 52 and it's,
Yeah.
oh, it's just a wall.
That's what's in my case downstairs. I actually do have some spare parts down
Oh,
there.
that's
Oh, dude.
That's great.
So yeah, we
That's
get
great.
a lot of EVPs out of here. We do hear some, heavy footsteps and things like that.
It
But
feels very heavy up here.
Yeah.
Really,
Yeah.
just very, it feels like a very emotional.
Yes, I agree. Sometimes I kind of describe it as melancholy. Maybe you pick up on a little hint of sadness.
Yeah.
But
And hard to breathe.
yeah. Now the priest I was telling you about earlier got a really good EVP up here. Now this is a couple of years ago, and unfortunately I don't own this, but I've been trying to talk him into giving me a copy. But the young man, he had a friend with him that night, and the friend that actually was using their phone to record this EVP has passed away recently. So I'm having a hard time getting Father Mike sharing. So.
Yeah.
But he did get this EVPs. We're standing here in this circle. We're actually, we were around this little table, and Father Mike is telling, Carl, look, I'm not here to judge you. I'm not here to, send you away or make you stay, just to pay my respects, and if you can kind of communicate, all that good stuff. And so we played the recording back, and sure enough, we got a male voice that sounded like Carl. According to some of the other recordings that I've heard, say yes, I am still here. So employees think that he's still here.
Is it okay if I leave him something? I
Absolutely.
have a little piece of sea glass from Bermuda. So
Oh, wow.
here's a little piece of somewhere else, so that if you feel stuck here, you can kind of hang it around.
That's cool. All right, Carl. Bud, we're going to go downstairs. I'd love for you to join us, okay? All right. It's quite warm up here.
Woo.
Okay, don't fall.
Okay, I'm
Yes.
holding in.
There's two elements. There's scary stairs and also possible entities that
That want to
Yeah, but
break
they
every
push you
bone in your
up.
body.
So hopefully. Complete with creaky door.
Yes, the creaking door.
very warm.
Yeah, no joke.
At least now the rest of the tour we're gonna feel cool.
Yeah.
And be like, ooh, it's nice and cool down
All
here.
right, so what I'll do is I'll get my keys and we'll go on down to the basement. We do have to go outside to get to the basement.
A little bit obsessed with this carpet. I'm not gonna lie. It's so nice.
That movie theater looking stuff?
Yeah. Or the
Slash
wallpaper.
casino?
The wallpaper
Go on
that
through,
was
Allison.
upstairs. That gorgeous like deco. All right.
Yeah.
On this way?
That silvery stuff?
Love it. So basically, I just want to live in an old movie theater. is pretty much.
Sounds about right.
The internet held out pretty good. up
Did
there.
it? Yeah. Now I'm afraid maybe
You may drop off here.
you
Yeah.
may lose it down in the basement. Some people can get it in the basement. If not, you should be able to get at least cell phone signal.
Should I just go straight to cell phone?
Yeah.
Oh, it's a good signal. Yeah.
You're gonna get all kinds of comments about shadow people because I keep sticking my hands in front of the lens.
I thought it was you.
What was it?
Was it like a banging?
Yeah, it was more of a like a scraping kind of a. It came from this direction here. Anybody back there? If there's anybody back there, can you follow us to the basement?
That way we can't escape. Stand in the corner for you.
I'm gonna go to the gates of hell, the portal to hell. Can you come down there with us? More the merrier. It's gonna be a party. I'm bootlegging water. Well, let's try. We can always come back up and do some eating concessions and stuff too if you guys want it. Should we hang out here all night?
No, I wasn't thinking.
There's some pictures here too. You kind of get an idea of what the building actually looked like.
Oh, wow.
Whenever.
Oh wow, yeah.
Look at the Latin Quarter.
So yeah, so much different. Here, I'll get out of your way.
Look at Bobby looking good.
Yeah, right.
I like his jacket. I would totally wear that.
But back in the 90s, there's newspaper articles on Bobby where he actually was going to build a new club, right? So he has these surveyors come out and survey the land so he could start, the plans for building. And they find a fault line, and you could actually see the crack in the ground, the earth. And
Wow.
that's when they put a halt to it. They're like, no.
He looks like Robert
we
Plant
cannot
there.
let you build anything on here. So.
He looks like Andre the Giant's smaller brother.
Andre the Giant, Robert Plant love child. Is that what we're saying?
Okay. I guess with
Anybody
the
want
chops.
to fiddle?
I didn't notice the chops before.
Still have
Quality chops.
That's great. Crazy stuff.
How often do you guys do overnights here?
All the time.
I can
Yeah,
imagine.
we've got one tomorrow night. We had one last night. Lately we've been getting a lot of the tour groups, like Ghost Hunts USA.
Oh, sure, right.
Good stuff. 25. A little bit of fresh air, right?
We're back.
Yeah.
Allison,
Yeah.
All right, we're outside now. Go ahead.
All right, we're about to go to the haunted basements at Bobby Mackey's, the Well to Hell.
Portal to Hell. Everyone's
That's right.
Portal to Hell, Hell's Gate, you name it. There's all kinds of nicknames out there. So, yep. So I'm going to lock this door. I always show everybody that I lock this door. There's nobody in here because there's many, many times that when we go downstairs, we hear a lot of footsteps.
These old copper handles actually are really cool.
And
Too bad there's part of them missing.
Right? Yeah. And it looks like by looking at the pictures and stuff in the inside the bar, it's like they might be the original.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
If you're watching,
Let's make our way around.
if someone's paying attention.
Shiplap! Shiplap!
Shiplap! Where's the
Shiplap!
shiplap?
Ship!
During the
That's how we're moving.
1700s, this area was also known as Gallows Gap. So as you know, Fort Thomas is here across this
Right.
hillside. Across the river would have been Fort Wright and Fort Mitchell. So this area would have had a lot of soldiers coming through this area. If I'm not mistaken, Fort Thomas was the site of the armory. So from what we hear, a lot of the history books say that the soldiers would have encounters with some of the Native Americans, some of the Indians, and also during the time of slavery. So they had some illegal hangings and lynchings here on this property. So they nicknamed it Gallows Gap.
Just in case you missed it, she said illegal hangings and lynchings.
Telephone sign.
Yeah.
You'll see a lot of those up and down this stretch of highway. Don't know what it is. I guess people get a little too carried away with their speed, but I don't know if you've ever heard the story. There was a fatal accident actually right here outside the front door of the bar. This would have been back in the early 80s. And this is on public record with the Wilder Police Department. The officer was patrolling that night, came across a fatal accident, and while he was investigating and he discovered that the driver was deceased, he claimed that there was a woman that actually walked out of the bar, offered to give him a sheet or a tablecloth of some sort to cover up the body, and he gladly accepted. Walked back into the bar. He never saw her the rest of the night. A couple of nights later, whenever the bar was open, the police officer stopped by to talk to Bobby and to thank his employee for helping him, and Bobby kindly informed him that the bar was closed that night and there was no one working. So I don't know who it was that you spoke to or who you saw. And this is on public record. This is actually in the police officer's police report.
Wow, that's cool.
All right, here we go.
We get a lot of people who try to get into the building through the tunnel systems that's connected to the well. Right across the railroad tracks here is the embankment that leads down to the river.
Yeah.
So a lot of people try to get in. They go exploring through the well, and we've been through there. The girl's head is not down there, I'm telling you. Her poor head is not there. Sorry. Hello. Play nice. Play nice.
Like in the dark?
I think I like it.
Yeah, it gives it. Gotta get that creepy factor.
It smells like a basement.
So we're gonna shut the door here. Alright. So if you'll notice, right here to your left, you're gonna see some headlights passing by. So you'll occasionally see some shadows and some lights and things like that right in this area. So I tell a lot of people, you know, here on our tours that if you see that, I don't want you to mistake that for any kind of, any activity. Now, when you start seeing any shadows that pretty much pass this post on down to that end, that's when you can kind of say that may be a little out of the norm and is not passing cars.
Is your light brighter than mine, Joe?
Alright. So this is the infamous basement. So everybody, I'm assuming, has heard the story of Pearl Bryan.
Tell it again, please.
Okay. So I'll kind of give you the little, the version that you hear.
Oh, and did your you had an experience too? Did it happen down here?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
My experience actually happened down to that very corner down there, and we'll make our way down there. But yeah, as
You
soon
can
as
tell
I
your
opened,
experience.
oh yeah. As soon as I opened the door, I didn't even step in, and it happened. But yeah, we'll get to that when we get down there. Now the story of Pearl Bryan, young lady from Indiana, she would visit this area with her family and friends, and during her many visits she became involved with a dental student at the University of Cincinnati. During their relationship, again, she became pregnant, kind of like a repeating pattern here. Johanna was pregnant, unwed, Pearl Bryan, unwed, also pregnant.
Hi,
When the
Tom.
boyfriend found out about this, he obviously wasn't very happy. Now you gotta remember, back in 1896, unwed pregnant mothers were shunned. They were basically sent off to have their children, the families disowned them. So to prevent this from happening, she agreed that they would go and find a physician who they had heard does abortions, obviously undercover, I guess you could say, anonymously. So they found out that they found this doctor who did this abortion, and they actually met him in Cincinnati at a saloon. So the story's a little bit different than what you hear on TV.
Yeah.
It's a lot different actually. But so yeah, they meet this physician in the streets of Cincinnati, or down in a saloon. They hired a stagecoach driver, a African American gentleman. Now, the reason why they did that is because they knew that if this stagecoach driver gave any details as to what they were doing, no one's going to believe them. This, again, during slavery days, right? No one's going to believe an African American man. So they hired this guy, they hired this physician, along with his wife who assisted him. They would take these young women down to a cabin 9 miles south of here in the woods of Campbell County, miles away from people. No one could hear, no one knew what was going on. So they went to this cabin, the physician started doing this procedure, and of course something happened and she passed away. Being in the medical field, I'm sure she probably bled to death. Back then everything, was not very sterile. He wasn't using the proper instruments and whatnot. So unfortunately during the procedure she passed away. So he panicked. He would have been hung. He would have been executed for doing this. So he ordered the dental student along with his roommate to decapitate her to prevent her from being identified. Of course, back then they didn't have DNA, they didn't have fingerprinting, so in order to identify a dead body was by their face. So they cut her head off. They actually put her head in a brown leather medical bag, gave it to the stagecoach driver. The physician ordered him to dispose of the head, told the 2 dental students to take her body and dump her body. So they dumped her body in a farmer's field about 2 miles south of here, which is now located in the area where the YMCA is in Fort Thomas. So the farmer comes out the next morning, finds the lifeless, headless body of this young lady lying in his field, along with the fetus lying next to her.
Oh.
The head was never found. Now, according to the investigative records, police records, the stagecoach driver had said that he went into Cincinnati and went back to the saloon and was drinking, and actually had this case sitting next to him on the bar, bragging that he had this dead girl's head in there. Nobody believed him, but nobody ever knew what happened to the head. They never found it. So the rumors are that he dumped it in the well here. But the stories that you hear on the TV was that the boyfriend did it, he killed her, and they dumped her head in the well, and they were part of satanic ritual.
Right.
We have no way to prove that. Some of this came up during the investigative reports, during the court hearings and all of that, but they never really were able to prove any of this. Now, the dental student and his roommate, they were tried and executed, convicted and executed of her murder. And their hangings were the last public hangings of Campbell County on March 20th, 1897.
How did they get caught though?
Well, strangely enough, they actually identified her. It took them a little while, but they identified her by her shoes. So apparently, whenever they made your shoes back then, and they made the mold of your feet, they would stamp a number on the bottom of your shoes so that when you go to the merchants to have your shoes made, you would give them your number so that they could get your mold. So they were able to trace it back to the store she bought her shoes
That's
from.
crazy.
Wow, I've never heard that before.
Yeah.
That's cool.
They also apparently to try to conceal her identity, they mind, and we're all over. We're coming to the site where her body was found. We wanted to see the fetus, and so it was a big public display.
And the doctor, was he
actually
as well, or he get?
He did not. What he
No.
did is he actually had himself committed to an insane asylum in Lexington, Kentucky to prevent himself from being touched. So after a couple of years, after all of this settled down, the men were hung and everything was over, he was cured and he went back to practicing.
Wow.
So this is the well that you had mentioned earlier.
Mm-hmm.
He just got the message in the dream to. Carl did?
Yeah, so this
Today.
structure that you see right here, this is
get some
the
lights in.
old original building. This was back from the late 1800s of what would have been the slaughterhouse at the time.
So this was originally outside?
This was an exterior wall.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah. Everything else that you see around this area here was all added on and built on later.
Good.
Yes, so this is the original.
So this was a window. This is an
the
outside
looking
window.
in. Yes, and then right here, you'll actually see an old door, an entryway, right in here.
Oh yeah.
Oh, look at that.
Very old. This would be back from the 1800s, so it's possible that the distillery may have been kind of built around this structure or somehow or some way. But
Are there any kind of like fire insurance maps or anything that might
We've not
lend
been able
some?
to find anything?
Yeah.
Again, I
yeah.
think having a lot of that mob activity, the organized crime, I think they concealed a lot of this stuff, honestly.
You mean there was
Yeah.
work being
Oh,
done
that's
off book?
Right.
Pay attention, you plumbers out there.
Yeah. So we'll go on back to the well. We'll go